back to another episode of the Otaku Crew podcast. And before we start, I hope all of you had a great holiday break, and I want to wish you all a happy new year. So we're entering 2023, so you can definitely bet that we will deliver more content for you this year.
You bet your sweet ass.
We are now officially on episode 23, and you can find all our episodes on most podcast platforms such as Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and so on. We are also on YouTube. Just search the Otaku Crew channel. And we are also on Rumble, which is the other video platform, the alternative to YouTube. And I highly recommend you all to check us out over there because sometimes YouTube doesn't play fair with their weird policies and censorship. Luckily, we've never been hit anything like that. But anyway, so whichever of these platforms you are listening from, please make sure to subscribe and please like and comment on our videos if you like our content and want to support us. You can also follow us on our social media channels such as Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc. All of the information will be in the description and links will be provided, of course. So today I am joined by my peers for this panel. Up first we got Monada Boy. What's up?
What's up, Lee? Happy to be here for this first episode of the year.
Yeah, man. Happy New Year. Hopefully you had a great one.
Yeah,
And
nice
then
and simple, lots of food.
perfect. And then next we have Tensa, our expert.
You know we're
of
coming
course.
with a banger this year.
Hells yeah, man. I can't wait to start, man. It's gonna be a good year for us, hopefully. So today we'll be reviewing SpyxFamily Part 2. We've already covered Part 1, so you can go back and check that out. So let me just give a quick brief synopsis of the story for those who are maybe just tuning in or new to it. So the story revolves around the spy agent whose code name is Twilight and is tasked with spying on Donovan Desmond, who is the leader of the Unity Party, and it's also to avoid a war between the nation of Westalis and Estonia. However, due to Desmond being notoriously reclusive, the only way Twilight can get close to him is to create a fake happy family and enroll his child in the same private school as Desmond's son. So to accomplish this, Twilight creates a fake identity known as Loid Forger, adopts a young orphan girl named Anya, and marries a woman named Yor Briar. However, he does not know that Anya can read everyone's minds, and Yor is actually a professional assassin. So neither Lloyd nor Yor are aware of each other's identities, or the fact that Anya knows their true professions because, she can read minds.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
I think that's a good synopsis right there. Describe it out. So let's get into it. So for part 2, let's talk about it, guys. What did you think? Let me start off first, actually. I like that in the beginning of part 2, we got kind of like a mini arc, a 3-4 episode arc where they were having like a terrorist plan or organization was planning a terrorist attack, and then it was up to the family to stop them, even though they didn't know what was happening with each other, because each person had their own role. But we also got introduction to a new family member, right? We got introduction to the dog, and his name is Bond.
Bond. James Bond.
And no, it's not that Bond that you're thinking of in the movies. But what do you guys think of that part?
I liked it a lot. I thought it was a really good strong start to the I guess part of the season. It was it had a good like story to the arc. It involved all the family members like Lloyd, Anya, and Yor. There was some action at the end that was really good, and then at the end of it, we got a new family member, and it's a dog. So like,
Oh yeah.
nothing to complain about, right? Like it's a really good, fun way to start off the season. I like that arc a lot.
Yeah. What about you, Tenta? What do you think of the arc?
Yeah, and that was kind of nice from my experience as well, because from what I see, it's like, yes, the terrorist organization was kind of a really fun way to introduce Bond into the show. And what kind of also caught me is that how each and every family member has something odd about themselves, but it's also what brings them together.
You're right.
So,
the dog, he has a power too. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, precognition, my boy.
Is it precognition or is it clairvoyance? but imagery wise.
Foresight, precognition is the same thing.
Okay, cool.
It's technically seeing into the future
Yeah, technically.
because or let's call it prediction for short, because that's kind of what he does. He predicts the future. Like, there's about to have a call in a few seconds. Call happens.
Exactly.
It was quite fun.
Yeah, and I think because what we see from the backstory is that the dog Bond was also going through some experiments. So him and Anya kind of make a special bond because that's the same thing that she's gonna went through also in her life. So that I find was amazing. So it's like, okay, yeah, there's a reason why they would bond like that because they understand each other and their feelings.
Yeah, I actually wonder because we obviously don't know too much about either of their characters, like the experiments that went on them. Like we know, yeah, okay, that's some scientists did some stuff on them and now they have powers. But I'm like my guess would be that it was the same scientist that worked on both Bond and Anya, just because like.
Oh, you think?
Well, yeah, I mean they both have some sort of psychic power, right? So like. I think it makes sense if they, or at least like the same organization was working on both of them.
Same organization, but definitely not the same department. Because you have to also understand in the same way that a veterinarian is not the same thing as a doctor. So the one who would make experiments on Anya would not be forcibly the one experimenting on Bond.
Right, but you also have to factor in anime logic.
Anime logic.
In anime logic, it would be two different companies in the first place. That's what I'm telling you.
No, not necessarily.
Because they're kind of completely unrelated.
How?
The reason why they're completely unrelated is because Anya has been used for spy missions the entire time, while Bond has been used for terrorist organization.
Okay, yeah, you make a good point.
Already,
that's present day now. I mean, we don't know what happened with him in the past. Like, how were they experimenting? What was the purpose of those experiments?
In the terrorist organization, you already have a synopsis of, like, you already have an idea of how they got trained. Like, it's even written in the episode. Like, it has been talked about.
Yeah, but the thing is, go ahead.
I know where you're getting at, but even in anime logic, not everything has one company. Like, so you also have to understand that I'm not dismissing the fact that it might be the same company, but I'm not denying the fact that it might not get on.
I mean, me neither.
Given
it
different
could be
goals.
either way.
Yes. That's why I think that it's possible, but I believe it's improbable given the use of both Anya and Bond had in the plot.
Well, I mean, unless you're like the Red Ribbon Army, yeah, you're not gonna have the one company running it all. But you guys make a fair point. It could be two different companies, could be the same organization. We don't know. We'll find out more, of course, later on.
And secondly, the other argument is that even later on, we already have talks about multiple companies after those episodes. So that leads me to believe that they might be related, but the same company is becoming more and more improbable.
Okay.
I guess we'll see.
Just solely based on the fact that they've talked about rival companies already, like, I would say, like, a little bit after the Bonds episodes.
Cool. So is there anything else that you guys liked about part 2 this season? I don't want to talk about the end of the season yet because that I'm gonna leave for later. But is there anything else you guys liked about it?
I mean, overall, yeah. One thing I liked was that they kind of dove into Yor's character a bit more, and that was nice. Like she kind of they kind of started her on a bit of an arc, like a character arc to grow a bit because she wants to be a good wife for Loid because she likes being Anya's mother, and she also they revealed during the season that she might even have some feelings for Loid. So like she wants to be able to like cook meals that won't kill them, and like teach Anya stuff to help her, and just like be a good mom, right? And so it's nice that they actually showed a bit of that. I thought that was good.
They also hinted that maybe Loid might also have the same feelings for Yor, right? He reciprocates back the same feelings, but
I think
play with the habit.
I think they made it so that he almost did, and then he was like, "No, what am I doing? I have to, like,
Think of the
she
mission.
doesn't feel that way, so I don't feel that way either."
Oh, really? Wow. Well, that's unfortunate.
Exactly.
Well,
what about you?
that's the thing. It's also the fact that when you see Loid always being under a mask, and when the mask is about to break, he always have to reform it because he has to think that way to function, really, in a sense.
Mhm.
So of course he's going to deny it until it's really in his face.
Mm-hmm. Let me jump on to another point. Because like I said, we got introduced to a new character, Bond, the dog who joined the family. We also got introduced to some new characters in this part. First we had Daybreak, the goofy spy for the other side, and I gotta admit, I love this character. He was so goofy and stupid that it literally threw Twilight off his game. Lloyd was like, "How bad is this guy?"
You're trash.
Even I was, when I was looking, I'm like, wait, my legend has just begun, and I'm like, no.
He's a complete opposite of Twilight, because not only by name, because it's Daybreak and Twilight, but the way they have their skills and the way they conduct their mission is it's so like, man, this character was so goofy. I was like, please, I need to see more of him.
Yeah,
And obviously he's really a foil to Twilight, but at the same time, I'm like, the fact that they're literally night and day is so intense that it's like, one of my first questions was, how did he become a spy again?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, who hired this guy? Like, they did not look at his background, his credentials to see if he was a good fit for the mission. I was like, my goodness.
So you think you got what it takes?
I'll tell you what I got. Your wife's pussy on my breath.
Nobody's ever talked to me like that before.
That's because everyone's mouth is usually full of your wife's box.
You're hired.
Shit.
What about you, Manado?
When I write my notes on my hand and I hit the wrong password.
Rich people, sometimes they're kind of cheap, you know. They take the discount option when they're hiring people to get a job done, right?
So that's how they stay
to
rich.
be fair,
Exactly.
it was even worse. It was even worse for this one because he happened to be hired by a kid with this 3 months allowance, so definitely it was a discount option.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, what's a kid know about hiring spies? If Daybreak especially, he's like, I am the greatest spy ever, then the kid's gonna believe it, right?
Right. Just kids are gullible.
I want to be famous, but I don't want you to talk about my mission. I'm just like, wait, but how does this work?
We also got introduced to another character. What's her name? Fiona Frost, who was
You mean Nightfall?
Yes, Nightfall. That's her code name too.
Yeah.
So we got Twilight, Daybreak, and then Nightfall. I love these code names. They all pertain to like a certain time of the day and stuff. So Nightfall, exactly. She was like an apprentice or underling of Loid, and then she grew feelings. And she grew feelings for him, and now she's like, you know what, you should not be the wife. I should be the wife because I love him. So back off. Becomes another adversary for Yor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a rival, and that kind of hit me hard too because I was like, oh no.
I loved it. It was so funny. Like this whole
it was great.
season was so
great.
goofy.
Yeah, and she comes out so strong because she's like, you know what, I'm gonna try to like belittle her and foil her plan and make sure like Loid sees me in a better spotlight. Then he'll be wanted with me, and then we will be happily married, and I'll confess my love for her. I'm like, oh girl, calm down, man.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal. Don't pull out the 9.
Like even
NTR
like,
plan aboard.
But that's the thing. She's putting her emotions before the mission. She should be thinking of the mission just like Twilight. It's like, hey, forget about your feelings. Think of the mission. We need to do everything.
Well, that's the thing. And the problem is that Nightfall is very good at hiding them, so Twilight doesn't even know it. But I just love the decoded conversation in between them. He's like, okay, what are you doing here?
Yeah. I have to admit, they have great chemistry when they're communicating and interacting with each other. Amazing. Like, you guys saw the remember the tennis match, the underground tennis match?
Yep.
Man, that arc, that episode was like, it was funny, but it was so engaging because I was like, my goodness, they were adapted to every situation because the organization wasn't playing fair and they had tricks up their sleeve. But man, the way they adapted and were spot on in sync, like it was amazing. That was a fun episode for me. That was actually my favorite episode, the underground tennis tournament. What about you guys? What do you think?
I liked it. It was 2 episodes, and they were really fun. But I wouldn't say that they were my favorite ones. They were definitely like they got me to laugh. But I think I liked the beginning arc more.
No, for sure.
Like the last episode of that arc, I thought it was really fun, and really good. But yeah, I liked the way that they introduced Nightfall. Like they kind of showed her a bit as Loid's like colleague at the hospital, right? And they told us, like us, the audience, right away that she was a spy that was working there to like help support Twilight. But they didn't give her much more screen time than that, and they did it like in a later episode. And in that later episode, where they actually like give her whole rundown, everyone around her is like, oh my god, she's like so fierce and so professional, and she's so good. She's like the next Twilight, and like she's like so goal driven, where she wants to work with Twilight, and that's why she wants to play the part of Loid's wife instead of yours, because she just wants to be part of this very prestigious mission, right, to save the conflict between
But that's the thing. I don't think she's thinking about the mission. She's more like
It's much more personal than that.
Exactly. Then they completely reveal
much more personal.
that she's just head over heels for Loid and a complete goofball inside. And I just died. That was so funny.
Yo, holy shit! To be honest, that also caught me off guard too, because when in the beginning of the episode it's like, you're not fit for it, like it made sense to me that she would, check on, how this is going. You're slowing her down, you need to be removed. But the moment that we have the I love Loid moment, I'm like, what?
Yeah. I never would have expected that, just because of how they presented her as like such a hard ass character, right? That I wouldn't.
I'm trying to remember. Sorry, I'm
even
trying to remember.
more cold. Like the way that she's designed, the way that she looks icy, like
exactly
completely icy.
And then inside she's
but
just
the
like
moment that you have that goofy moment, I'm like, I kind of lost it, because I was like, oh no, like it's worse. It's worse than Yor's brother with his cis con moments.
Oh, okay. But I'm trying to remember, guys. Was she introduced like last season? Well, not last season, but like in part 1. Was she introduced there? Because I don't remember seeing her.
No, Nightfall is a new character.
It's just a new character in this part. Okay, perfect. So
yeah, I
mean, she's a great addition to the show, and I can't wait to see more of her, because we all like her now at this point.
Hey everyone, this episode is sponsored by Audible. If you're like me and you want to find yourself a pastime but don't have enough time in the day due to school, work, or commuting, let me present to you Audible. Now, many of you have heard about Audible, but I'm going to tell you a bit more about it. Audible is an American online audiobook and podcast service that lets you enjoy all your audio entertainment on one app, whether it be, for example, a few in my library are His Dark Materials, Percy Jackson, Aragon, Witcher, Lord of the Rings, and many more for you to discover. You can always find audio for books you have been wanting to read or podcasts you've been dying to listen to. You will also find all the Otaku Crew up-to-date episodes lists available on Audible. As an Audible member, you can also choose one title a month to keep from the entire catalog, which includes the latest bestsellers and new releases. If you follow our Audible link, www.audibletrial.com/official Otaku Crew, you can start a free 30-day trial. So go to Audible now and start your free trial. We now return back to your scheduled episode.
So now my question for you guys is like, is there anything in this part that you guys didn't like? Anything negative, like any cons?
Yeah, I mean, like if we compare the first and the second part, I found that the second part was a little less like focused on the main plot of the show, which is like Operation Strix, right? Like the first season was much more focused on Loid making it work and them he and Anya and Yor like progressing to where she'll be able to help Loid get in contact with Desmond, right? And in this season, it was kind of focused on other stuff, which the other stuff wasn't bad, but it like I did wish that we saw more of like the actual progress in Operation Strix.
I am completely in agree with you, Manado. Like the somewhere like we said, the first arc. Wait, Tensa. The first arc was like great, right? But somewhere along the middle, it just kind of got boring because, like you said, the plot was not advancing. We're just seeing more side missions. And granted, it's good for the character development, but if you don't have gradual progression like you did in part one, then it's kind of seemed like lackluster in part two. Did you kind of get that feeling, Tenzo, or what?
As I was about to say, you kind of actually see where it tapers off right in the middle, where you have the Gloomball Corporation or whatever it was called. Because I agree that to a degree, the second part was less of the show and more of a filler.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, that
because
in particular with the like the rival corporation kid, that episode was like pure filler, and that actually bothered me.
I kind of, and the thing is that for me it was at least the Nightfall thing made sense, and even though it was not as interesting as the terrorist organization part, the rival corporation kid was, I would say with Madado, it did not contribute to the show at all.
Yeah,
it was a whole lot of nothing. And
so you guys agree that
what makes it worse is
wait, sorry, Tenzo. So you agree that
that episode was the worst one of the second season.
Was the worst of the was the worst.
It's the worst one.
Easily, especially because it didn't have any impact at all, right? Like the whole episode was about this kid, like, oh, this is my last day at school and all this stuff. Like, it wasn't even his last day. Back the next day, so it's like, okay, cool. We literally achieved nothing.
What a waste of time.
It's not only that, it's the fact that I like the fact that he's embarrassed, but the thing is that we're never gonna see this character again.
Exactly.
Yeah, but if anything, maybe more of a background.
Like I haven't seen him after that episode, so I was like, why?
And it didn't affect anything in the later episodes too, right? So like maybe they'll make a callback to it in the next season, but like right now it just feels like
that's a little bit far.
Yeah, like there was just no point to this, so like why is it here? Whereas like all the other episodes, like you can say a lot of this show is kind of fillery, but a lot of the time when they do those episodes, it's either about characters that we care about and we get to know more of them, or we get like some good action or something at the very least out of it, right? But here there was none of that. It's like a character that we haven't seen before and don't care about, and it's inconsequential.
I'll tell you one thing though, he kind of looked goofy the way he was drawn out and everything. He looked like a Frankenstein kid, but
emotional, damn it!
It's also the fact that I kind of hated the kid in the first place.
Well,
damn.
Because
that was the point though. He was like made to be not likable, right?
Mm.
And obviously he was not made to be not likable. And the thing is that at the very least it had to do with an earlier episode, at least, where the grades were like, where we're gonna just fake the grades. But at the very same time, I expected some branching. It didn't need to be an atonement arc. At this point, because of how it resolved, it had to be a mini atonement arc. But
if I recall, he's the one that hired Daybreak, no?
Yes. So that's why I mean, like, it's this kind of thing where it's like, I wish that he would be properly punished instead of just owing the kids everything that he received from everyone.
Well, I mean, anyway, like, I agree with you guys.
Give me back my juice money.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. That episode was probably the like we're gonna say the lowest point of the part. It's pretty much a throwaway episode at that point, so there's nothing much to say about
Yeah,
there.
pretty much.
That's what I think it was.
So let's talk about the end of part 2 then. So near the end, there's this parent teacher meeting or seminar that's happening with all actually the stellar groups are involved, and that's why there's this like assembly or parent teacher meeting seminar that's happening, and that's when Twilight thinks that the Donovan Desmond is gonna show up, and he finally does show up. Him and Loid did meet up and have first contact, and so the tension was there between them. And I want you guys' perspective on that. What do you think? Finally, some advancement on that mission.
That's what surprised me because I did not expect that to happen so soon. Because for me that kind of meeting was supposed to be a little bit later, but fact that it established first contact at least advanced the objective of the mission, because like yes, it's tense, but at the very same time it's like, yeah, I have to do this for my country, so it's, you know how it is.
I feel like what happened is that the writers totally forgot, and they knew that somewhere in the middle of the show was like it started to get boring. It's time to deviate away from the plot. They're like, oh, we need to bring this back on track. So that's why they kind of forced this in, where they're like, okay, we need to have them finally meet through a random occurrence. So it was pretty much like a convenient meeting at most.
Keep in mind that the show was written by a guy who got bored.
A guy who got what?
It has been by a guy who got bored and had a writer's block and basically made a show out of a writer's block.
Is that so?
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. Go on.
I didn't know that.
So that's why, although I do love the show, I expected those fillery stuff every now and then, just not the low point. But what I'm saying is that the guy's not even like for someone who's able to make a good show, he's not even trying. And that tells a lot about the author's talent. So obviously, once he gets back to being serious, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
What about you, Manado? What do you think? What about you, Manado?
So I just realized now I never actually watched the last episode.
NANI? Oh no! I spoiled it for you.
Well, it's okay. I mean,
Sorry.
the title of the episode says it all, right? So it's not a problem at all. But yeah, I totally thought that it stopped at 24, and we didn't watch the last episode.
Well, let me tell you this then.
I knew it was going to be a little longer due to the manga.
Oh yeah, because you read the manga, right?
It looked, yes, I do, and it looked like it was going to be a little longer than that. It's also the fact that if you look at episode 1, we're just in the first midterm, so it's like I feel like they're going to extend that as long as they can.
Well, I will say that even though I haven't watched the episode, like I'm kind of surprised to hear now that all of a sudden, like we move on in phases in Operation Strix. When like one of the things I said earlier about this part of the season is like we don't make that much progress on it and we don't focus on it, so it's kind of like they didn't do anything for the main plot of the show, and then all of a sudden we're like, okay, last episode of the season, we suddenly make first contact with the target. Like what?
Yeah.
You know, there's no build up to it.
I'll say this though.
I wouldn't have expected that.
It kind of helped because that first contact between those two was very crucial. Because now here's the thing: Twilight or Loid Forger, he got some information out of Desmond because now he saw the relationship between him and his younger son Damien. And mind you, this part we saw quite a bit from Damien too. We got really more of a background story from him too. So he's just a kid who's trying to look for his father's attention, right? So I think Twilight and Loid kind of picked that up, and so I think he's most likely Twilight's probably going to try to exploit that part. And for Donovan Desmond, he took notice of Loid also because of the way he was talking to him and everything about family, relationship, and life. And so He's like, "Oh, your name is Loid Forger, man. I'm gonna remember that next time." Yeah, so it was very crucial for both parties, that first contact. And what do you guys think is gonna happen later on in the season now that we
It's
made first
also the
contact?
fact that I also stressed another bit because I did mention midterm. The timetable was still moving. So
Mhm.
whether that the operation strike was progressing or not, the time did. So of course that eventually they had to go into something crucial, and in a sense, although that I expected it to be like more like at the end of the year or at least towards winter before the first meeting, it kind of got me pleasantly surprised because it basically establishes that in every midterm they will appear.
Oh, so you think we're gonna see him again in the next midterm?
Exactly. I feel like the next time it's going to be completely different due to the mission objective being closer and closer.
Because what I think is gonna happen is that the next time they're gonna meet, this is my prediction, because I haven't read the manga, but I think what's gonna happen next time is that I think the next time they'll meet will be when Lloyd and Donovan Desmond meet at like either their place or at Lloyd's place, because like I said, he's gonna try to exploit the relationship between Damien and Donovan Desmond, but it might be through Anya. So, because mind you, Anya did not get any Stella stars at all this part, and so they're kind of falling back to Plan B, where they try to make friends with each other, Anya and Damien, and they try to go to each other's houses and play and stuff, and that's how Lloyd will be able to make a second contact with Donovan Desmond. But that's my prediction.
Yeah,
To
that
be
makes sense.
fair, if they do that, it would be faster than the
It
second
will be
semester,
fast, yeah. Mhm.
and that's advancing the operation even faster. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, it depends how they play it out. Because the thing is, I don't feel like the series will go on for a lot of seasons. It's gonna be like, I feel like a few seasons, but like that would be running fast for sure. And I think depending on the direction, because what he needs to do a second contact where he gets closer to Desmond, right? And so as the more closer it gets, the more information you get out of him to see what their plan is to start the war. Because ultimately their plan is to like avoid war between the two nations at all costs, right? So for all we know, maybe Donovan Desmond has no plans for war, and that might be like a mind trip for Lloyd. Like, oh wait, this guy's a clean cutter. He doesn't want to do any shenanigans.
What a twist!
Who knows?
That would be a wham episode if that happens.
Yeah. What about you, Monado? Any thoughts on that?
But I do think that it has at least 2 seasons left, if you like,
If it
at
goes that
least at
fast,
the minimum.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, because it seems to progress like a bullet train, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think 2 seasons is like 2 more seasons is reasonable. So like 3 total at the very least. Because like when shows blow up like this, I guess they kind of go one of two ways. Because they either kind of stretch it out as much as possible to to ride the train.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna get fillers in between, that's for sure. But
Yeah,
I
and that's the
think
thing
for
is
the
like
main plot, they're gonna run like 10% the bullet train.
maybe.
That's fine.
I hope it
Yeah.
doesn't go. I hope it doesn't go like too much in that direction where it's like, half of the season is filler where they don't even talk about the main mission, and then oh, here we have just a completely new development in the thing out of nowhere, and now we advance to the next phase. Like I would rather they do it like a little more naturally and
They
progressively.
need to pace themselves like correctly. Like
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
the first part was
Yeah.
probably the gold standard for them for their pacing. They need to like get back to that kind of page and
Yeah.
proceed like that.
Even
Do
most
you,
of this season wasn't too bad. It's just like
uh,
to have such a big jump. I hope it's not like going to be like that the rest of the show.
Okay, cool.
That would
Manala,
be a
do you have any-
problem if they did that.
Mhm.
What's that?
Yeah, sorry, I was gonna ask Manala for you. Like, do you have any predictions for the next season?
No, I have none. I'm terrible at it. Like, I think
Well, it's fun to speculate. That's it. Yeah.
I like what you guys said, where they probably will just completely abandon the Stella part of the mission and just focus on getting Anya to just befriend Damien somehow so that they can meet up that way. But what else?
Kind of makes sense because one, Anya completely hates studying, and two, we see her progress in her studying, and while she manages to pass, she didn't get a Stella. So, like, I kind of knew from season 1 that getting a Stella was not gonna happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen at all.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, that's it.
Because I thought a Stella was kind of rare to get in the first place. But when you're mentioned with the you barely passed number 234 Anya, and I'm just like, oh wow. It just tells me that they would have to make plan Bs and plan Cs, and that's what keeps the show on its toes, really.
That's fine. So in terms of like speculation, what I think we will see, and I hope we see, is more Daybreak, more Nightfall, and maybe some more Yuri to see, like, because I feel like they have a dynamic there with Yuri where he's literally part of the secret police, right? So they should probably do a little more with that, where like
they should use Yuri more often. You're right, it's true.
But like more than just like being jealous of Loid, right? But for actually being like a secret police where he's supposed to be catching people like Loid, you know?
Yeah, being a foil to Loid, maybe.
Or better yet,
or
better yet, that I would like to see their rivalry in mid missions where they would try to basically like screw over each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
because so far
because I think that that's where their rivalry would shine best, and we have not seen any of that yet.
Exactly. Like, you know, Loid already has like a full knowledge of Yuri and everything about him, basically. But Yuri doesn't know who Twilight is, right? So you could have like the two, like Yuri is working against Loid, but then also Twilight without knowing that they're the same person on different fronts, and they could be playing a bit more with that rather than just having him like come over for coffee and then be jealous of Loid all the time.
Yeah,
which is funny to watch, but like
one more from that. Yeah, I agree.
So I hope you see that.
Yeah, I hope so too. I agree. Do you guys have any last final points before we wrap up the episode? There was not much to talk about except, you know, the main points. I think we got most of it across, but do you guys have any final
well, actually, I have a question for you guys. Where did it sit for you as like anime this year? Like, was it one of the high ups? Was it one of your very favorites? Was it one of your like mid or like not even that good? Just like how did you guys feel about it?
So I'll say this: part 1 is definitely stronger than part 2. So part 1 trumps over part 2. But as a whole, like the whole season, if you combine part 1, part 2, I would say I was pretty satisfied for what I got out of SpyxFamily. And so I'm still looking forward to next season because, you know, it's become one of my favorite shows to watch. It's not shonen. It's nothing like crazy action. It's one of those family-friendly shows that you could have a good time and laugh. That's where I stand.
Well, what I thought about it, I'm kind of like on the same ground as you, maybe a bit higher on it overall, Lee. I thought it was like one of the best anime this year, just because it was like one of the most fun to watch. A lot of it was so like goofy and just fun and silly, but also like really cool and interesting.
I mean, it's still my favorite when it comes to slice of life, if you want to go there. But I don't rate favorites easily. So it's still like, and I'm not saying that it's going down. It's just that you kind of know when an episode seems to start having a little bit of slowdown, but you think that it's gonna pick up after, like it's gonna pick back up and gallop again.
Yeah.
So and obviously for me it was still one of the good shows, and I still want to continue watching the show.
Yeah, for sure.
It just seems like the plot is so short that I'm kind of afraid.
Yeah, they're probably gonna leave us wanting more.
Exactly, and that's my fear of that show. Like, because they're already established first contact, and I'm like, oh no, you know.
I thought it was one of my favorite anime this year, but in terms of slice of life, I can't rank it as my favorite this year because we had a season of Love is War, Kaguya-sama, and I like that more.
Oh, Kaguya. That's
that,
fair.
that was this year, right?
Um,
Earlier this year. So like I can't put it over that.
I
but
forgot
it's
about
close.
that. Yeah, I forgot about that, which is like pure slice of life on top of that. So I get it. I get it.
But
Okay,
still
cool,
a really
cool.
good show, really fun.
Yeah, cool. I'm looking forward to more anime this year and more from SpyxFamily later on. So thank you guys for joining on today's panel. I appreciate your thoughts on the review of SpyxFamily Part 2. Thanks so much. And that's going to be it for today's episode, guys. So for everyone who's listening, please listen to us on, like I said, most podcast platforms. We are available on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, etc. And we are available. We are also on YouTube and Rumble. Just search up the Otaku Crew YouTube channel, and please like and comment on the videos, and follow us on social media channels too. Like I said, just everything's gonna be in the description, and links will be added there. And so we'll see you all next time. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.